Protesters met outside Congressman LaHood's office today in Normal to protest potential cuts to SNAP, Medicare, and Medicaid at the federal level. Here's Sam Matheny.
Citizens Action Illinois held a peaceful protest here outside of Congressman LaHood's district office in Normal. They spoke about their frustrations with federal cuts and held a moment of prayer and reflection. Now, this is not the first time protests have happened here. We can recall at least 2 other protests outside or near LaHood's office in the last few months. Dozens of people were protesting potential cuts to SNAP and Medicare. Now, as for SNAP, GOP members of the House Agriculture Committee are proposing a $290 billion cut to the program, which helps 42 million people nationwide purchase fresh produce and groceries. The House also proposed up to $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. Protesters are also calling on the congressman to, quote, stand with his constituents and not billionaires. Reporting in Normal, Sam Matheny, 25 News.
And Representative LaHood did put out a statement saying in part that he is committed to representing the people in his district and will continue to represent their interests in Washington, D.C.